People in Georgia have been protesting outside Parliament, which is holding a third and potentially final discussion of a controversial foreign influence bill. Opponents say the proposed law could be used to stifle dissent. Media and other organizations that get 20% or more of their funding from abroad would have to register as agents of foreign influence. There are reports of at least 20 arrests on Saturday. Dmitry Medvedenko has been covering the protest, joining us now from Tbilisi. So what are you seeing around you? What's the situation like right now, Dmitry?
Well, it's still quite loud here in the central Tbilisi. There were thousands of people here last night. Some stayed all through the night to make a stand against this controversial so-called foreign agents bill. Well, why they were here specifically today is because Georgian Parliament Judicial Committee was supposed to do a reading of this bill, the third reading, potentially the last one, before it's passed on to a vote. Now, normally these things last a couple of hours, but specifically in this case, it lasted under 2 minutes. The chairman of the Judicial Committee came in, asked the other members if there were any changes to the text that they want. They all said no, and he approved it. Like Georgian media have said, it took 64 seconds to be done. Now, people here say that this is basically a joke, and they're still standing here. They're still saying it's very important to make some noise and make themselves heard. Now, they're saying that the choice is much bigger than just this foreign agents bill. Just a reminder, it will require NGOs and media who receive 20% or more of their funding from abroad to declare themselves as agents of foreign influence. Now, the government says it's important for transparency, but people say the choice is really where the future lies now for Georgia, because Georgia wants to join the EU, and the EU officials have said that this bill is anti-democratic and a step in the wrong direction, whereas a similar bill was adopted by Moscow. Therefore, now it's dubbed by the Russian law. This law in Russia was used to crack down on dissent. Now, to talk more about this and where this is all going, we're joined by Gigi Gigiadze. He's a senior fellow at the Economic Policy Research Center and also career diplomat, former Deputy Foreign Minister for Georgia. Gigi, thank you very much for being with us. So what do you make of the fact that it took less than 2 minutes for the committee here to pass this law into a vote tomorrow?
Yes, this is the first of all sign of fear and panic inside this building. These 83 people, are so-called members of the parliament, are now hurrying up to accomplish the act of treason against their own population, against the Georgian people, and adopt this Russian law, Russian-style law, which will descend this country into the autocracy. And this will be the replication of the Russian law in Georgia, and will seriously curb and diminish the civil society, non-governmental organizations, and of course the remaining free media outlets. So they are now hurrying up. They would like to adopt it as soon as possible, and then to intimidate the Georgian society, intimidate the people in the streets. These 83, they do not represent the Georgian people anymore. They are the most illegitimate parliament which we had in our recent history. They have done everything in order to go against their own people. They have done everything to force people to abandon their dreams, and they are calling themselves a Georgian. This is a Russian dream, indeed. They are now doing everything in their power to distance Georgia from Europe, from the United States, from the West. And if this law will be adopted, Georgia will fall back, descend into autocracy, and we will be thrown back in time for many, many decades.
As a diplomat, you were in charge of the visa liberalization process, as far as I understand. Now, the EU has said that Georgia's bid to join the European Union is hampered by this bill. What do you think is going to happen with EU accession?
Absolutely. If this bill be adopted, we'll have no chance to start the negotiations on the joining of the European Union. But more than that, European Union is already warning this government that even the candidacy of the European Union and the visa liberalization might be suspended if this law is adopted. So we are in a serious threat of being cut from the European Union, being cut from the West. So these people are traitors. They are now doing everything to accomplish their act of treason against Georgia.
Gigi Gigiadze, thank you very much for being with us. So now this bill is being passed on to a plenary session on Tuesday. It's going to start on at noon. People here say they're definitely going to come, that they're going to skip work, they're going to skip classes to make themselves heard.
Okay, thank you so much for the time being for that reporting from Tbilisi.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.